Between van meetups, online forums, and direct interviews, I've talked to 47 full-time van owners who've been on the road for 3+ years, and only 23% said they'd buy the same van again. The other 77%, they'd change everything. Here's what the smart ones are actually buying in 2026, and what they're desperately warning you to avoid. Look, I'm not here to sell you a dream. I'm here to save you from a $90,000 mistake. Because here's the truth most YouTube channels won't tell you. That Instagram perfect Sprinter or Transit setup, a shocking number of owners are quietly selling them after 18 months, losing 30 to 40% of their investment. Today, I'm breaking down the exact vans and features that experienced owners, people who've actually lived this life through breakdowns, extreme weather, and real-world budgets, would buy again, and more importantly, what they'd never touch. And one of the most expensive upgrades people swear by before they buy, experienced owners say it's the first thing they'd rip out if they could start over. I'll tell you what it is later. Session 1. The van choice. The winner? Ford Transit AWD, 148-inch wheelbase. Here's what nobody tells you. The van itself matters less than you think, but the drivetrain and size will make or break your entire experience. The Ford Transit AWD in the 148-inch wheelbase is dominating repeat purchases, and it's not even close, but not for the reasons you think. Why experienced owners choose it? First, that AWD system. I watched a couple in Colorado sell their 2022 Sprinter 4x4, a $120,000 build, to buy a Transit AWD for $68,000. Why? The Sprinter's 4x4 system is brilliant off-road, but it adds several inches of height, enough to break garage clearance. They couldn't fit in 40% of parking garages, couldn't stealth camp in cities, couldn't use most drive-thrus or car washes. The Transit AWD sits lower, gets you 90% of the capability, and keeps you under that critical 9-foot ceiling. Second, the 148-inch wheelbase is the sweet spot nobody talks about. The 130 is too cramped for full-time living. You'll hate it after 3 months. The 170 extended? Sounds great, until you're trying to park in a European village or navigate tight U.S. national park roads. The 148 gives you a real bathroom, a real bed, and you can still parallel park. The cost reality. A 2024 to 2025 used Transit AWD with 15,000 miles, you're looking at $48,000 to $54,000. A comparable Sprinter AWD, $78,000 to $92,000. That's a $30,000 to $40,000 difference that buys you solar, lithium batteries, a diesel heater, and an entire year of travel. The maintenance truth that dealers hide. Ford parts are everywhere. A Ford door handle, $80 at any parts store. A Sprinter door handle, $340, and you're waiting 6 days for it to ship from Germany. I talked to a full-timer in Montana whose Sprinter needed a DEF sensor, $890 in 11 days at the only Sprinter-certified shop within 200 miles. A Transit owner with the same issue? $340, fixed in 2 days at any Ford dealer. Who should avoid it? If you're doing serious off-road overlanding, I'm talking remote Baja, deep Forest Service roads, steep mountain passes, the Transit AWD will let you down. It's not a true 4x4. For that, you need the Sprinter 4x4 or a 4x4 van conversion. But be honest, are you really doing that? Or are you just fantasizing about it while you'll actually be in Walmart parking lots and established campgrounds? The controversial take. The Ram ProMaster is cheaper, sometimes $10,000 less. But here's what owners don't say in their YouTube tours. It's front-wheel drive. In snow, rain, or dirt roads, you're going to feel that. And the resale value, it drops like a rock. A 3-year-old Transit holds value in the mid to high 60% range. A 3-year-old ProMaster, low to mid 50% range. That's real money you're losing. Section 2. Insulation and climate control. The winner? Havelock wool, plus diesel heater, plus MaxVan. This is where I see people waste the most money on things that sound good but perform terribly. The insulation mistake. Everyone's using spray foam or Thinsulate, and everyone's dealing with condensation problems after 6 months. Here's why. Vans are metal boxes. You're breathing, cooking, and showering inside. That moisture has to go somewhere. Spray foam traps it inside your walls, leading to rust and mold you can't see until it's too late. Havelock wool costs 40% more up front, about $1,200 for a full transit compared to $850 for spray foam, but it's hygroscopic. It absorbs moisture and releases it when conditions change. I interviewed a couple who've been full-time for 4 years in their wool-insulated van. Zero mold, zero condensation issues, zero rust when they pulled a panel to add wiring. The heating reality. Propane heaters like the Buddy heater, cheap and easy, also pumping moisture into your van and creating a potential carbon monoxide situation. Electric heaters, they'll drain your battery system in 3 to 4 hours. A diesel heater, specifically the Webasto or Chinese Vivor knockoffs, runs off your vehicle's fuel tank, produces zero indoor moisture, and sips fuel. We're talking 2 to 4 hours on 0.1 gallons. That's 30 to 40 cents per night of heat. A full-timer in Maine told me they ran theirs every night for 4 months on $35 of diesel. Cost? Webasto installed, $1,800 to $2,200. Chinese version DIY, $180 to $280. Both work. The Webasto is quieter and more reliable, but I know people running the cheap ones for 3+ years with zero issues. The ventilation piece everyone skips. You need active ventilation, not just a roof vent. The Max Van is $380 installed. It moves air even when it's raining. Every experienced owner has one. Because here's what happens without it. You're cooking dinner, windows are closed because it's cold, and condensation is literally dripping down your walls. The Max Van pulls that moisture out before it becomes a problem. The consequence of cheating here. I watched someone try to save money with no insulation in a $30 USB fan. They lasted 7 months before selling the van at a $22,000 loss. Summer was unbearable. Winter was impossible, and the resale value tanked because buyers could see they'd cut corners. Section 3. Electrical system. The winner? 400 amp-hour lithium iron phosphate plus 600-watt solar plus Victron system. This is where I see new buyers get absolutely destroyed by bad advice. The battery truth. Lead acid is cheap. It's also dead weight that gives you 50% usable capacity, dies in 2 to 3 years, and makes you anxious about power. Lithium iron phosphate costs 3 to 4 times more up front. We're talking $2,400 for 400 amp hours versus $650 for lead acid. But you get 95% usable capacity, 10+ year lifespan, and you can actually use your van like a normal person. Here's the math dealers don't show you. 400 amp hours of lithium gives you 380 amp hours usable. That's running a fridge, laptop, lights, fan, and charging phones for 2 to 3 days, zero solar. Try that with lead acid, and you're struggling by day 1. The solar reality. 600 watts is the minimum for full-time living in diverse climates, not 200 watts, not I'll add more later, because you'll constantly be anxious about power, avoiding anything electric, running your engine every other day to charge, burning $8 to $12 in fuel each time. 600 watts in decent sun gives you 2,000 to 2,800 watt-hours per day. That covers everything with margin to spare. The Victron versus cheaper charge controllers. A Victron system costs $800 to $1,100 more than a Renogy or generic setup, but it's Bluetooth-enabled, gives you real-time data, and is one of the most reliable systems among long-term users. Cheaper controllers are often the first thing that gets replaced after 2 to 3 years, and when your charge controller fails, you're dead in the water, possibly losing $600 worth of food in your fridge. Who should go smaller? Weekend warriors who park at home 5 days a week? Sure, 200 amp hours and 300 watt solar works. You're not depending on it for survival. But if you're planning full-time or extended travel, undersizing your electrical is the fastest way to hate van life. Section 4. Water and sanitation. The winner? 30-gallon fresh, plus cassette toilet, plus outdoor shower. Water capacity reality. People obsess over 50-gallon systems, but here's what actually happens. Water is 8.3 pounds per gallon. 50 gallons is 415 pounds. You're killing your fuel economy, reducing your payload for gear, and most people can't even tell the difference between 30 and 50 gallons of driving range. Two people using 30 gallons carefully, that's 5 to 7 days. You're filling up at the same time you're getting groceries anyway. Save the weight, save the space, save the $800. The toilet situation no one's honest about. Composting toilets sound eco-friendly and amazing. In reality, you're dumping solid waste into dumpsters or designated facilities, and it smells worse than manufacturers admit. Cassette toilets, specifically the Thetford Porta Potty, cost $140. You dump it in any normal toilet at gas stations or campgrounds every 3 to 5 days. It's cleaner, simpler, and you're not carrying around bags of waste. The Nature's Head composting toilet, $1,050. I've talked to owners who switched to cassette within a year. The shower decision.
And here's that expensive upgrade I mentioned earlier that experienced owners regret: the indoor shower. For most full-time owners, indoor showers become unused space within months. You're using 15 to 25 gallons per week, dealing with drainage, mold issues, and moisture everywhere. A $60 rinse kit outdoor shower works for 90% of situations. You heat water on your stove, fill the rinse kit, and shower outside, or in a pop-up privacy tent. Cold weather? Truck stop showers are $15 and you get unlimited hot water and space. I know that sounds less glamorous than an Instagram-worthy tiled van shower, but I'm telling you it works after 3 years, not what looks good after 3 weeks. Section 5. Kitchen setup. The winner? 2-burner propane plus 12-volt compressor fridge. Cooking reality. Induction cooktops are efficient, but drain your batteries fast, 50 to 80 amp hours per hour of cooking. Propane is cheap, doesn't touch your electrical, and a 20-pound tank lasts 6 to 8 weeks. A 2-burner setup costs $180 and gives you actual cooking capability, not just heating up soup. The fridge versus cooler debate. This one's simple. A 12-volt compressor fridge costs $650 to $1,100. It uses 25 to 35 amp hours per day. You keep food for weeks, you're not buying ice every 3 days, it's $6 to $8 per bag, and you can actually meal prep. A cooler and ice? Sounds cheaper. Over a year, you're spending $700 to $950 on ice. Food's soggy, you're limited to 3 to 4 day food plans, and you're constantly shopping. The fridge pays for itself in 12 to 14 months. The controversial take on ovens. People spend $400 to $800 on 12-volt ovens that use 1,000 watts and produce mediocre results. A $25 Coleman camping oven that sits on your propane burner works better and costs 95% less. I've never met a long-term van lifer who regularly uses their electric oven after the first 6 months. Section 6. The real cost breakdown. Let's talk actual numbers for a smart 2026 build. Ford Transit all-wheel drive 148 used with 15,000 miles, $51,000. Professional insulation, Havelock wool, $1,200. Diesel heater, Webasto, $2,000. Electrical, 400 amp hours lithium, 600 watts solar, Victron, $4,500. Max fan plus vent fan, $550. Water system, 30 gallons, $800. Cassette toilet, $140. 12-volt fridge, $900. Kitchen setup, $600. Bed platform, cabinets, flooring, $2,500. MISC, wiring, plumbing, hardware, $1,200. Total, $65,390. That's a full-time capable van that will last 8 to 10 years. Compare that to a $140,000 new Sprinter build that loses $45,000 in value the moment you drive off the lot. Here is my final take, and it's going to piss some people off. The van life industry is selling you luxury features and Instagram aesthetics that make your life worse, not better. The experienced owners who'd buy the same setup again? They're the ones who prioritized function over flash, who bought used instead of new, who invested in systems that actually matter, electrical, climate control, and reliability, and who had the discipline to say no to everything else.
The ones regretting their choices? They're driving $120,000 Sprinters with beautiful tile showers they never use, solar systems too small to be useful, and they're trapped in RV parks because they can't actually travel. Buy the Transit all-wheel drive. Insulated right, oversize your electrical, keep everything else simple. You'll save $50,000 plus and actually enjoy van life instead of just posting about it. Now tell me, what feature did you waste money on that you'd skip if you started over? Or what luxury do you actually use every single day that was worth it? Because I guarantee someone in the comments is going to defend their indoor shower or composting toilet, and I'm here for that debate.